My name is Wendy Kornberg, and I'm with Cannabis, Humboldt's Full Sun Farms.
Hi, I'm Tina Cola from Chesky, and I'm with Bella Farms.
And you guys have been having a great time here at the Emerald Cup. But
Yeah, I've been having a great time at the event. All of a sudden they come around and they say we cannot have our personal jars, which we are credentialed to have, that our employees can touch and no one else but our employees, off the table. How can the consumer buy weed sight unseen and not being able to smell it?
and to be clear, who came to the table telling you cannot just have jars of your product?
First, it was somebody from Emerald Cup, and they said they were just, messenger of bad news. And then my other buddy just said he saw DCC confiscating weed and dumping out someone's distillate or something like that.
It was the BCC. They were coming through. The Emerald Cup employee was trying to come with the sweep beforehand. And so we just got told that the solution is we are all going to become employees of the retailer that's holding our weed that we have to try to sell without showing it or having people smell it, and then they have to go and try and buy it. It's an absolute mess, but we're going to become employees, so we have to sign W-2s and employee contracts with the retailer in order to bring our personal samples back onto the table to show consumers.
And to be clear, you are all here under the Small Farmer Initiative, trying to lift up legacy farmers. And you're not doing direct sales. You're not even able to do direct sales.
Not at all.
All we can do is we can show you a jar, you can look at it, you cannot touch, and you can smell it, and that is it.
But then they tell you you can't even have your jar of your product on the table.
Right, and this is personal product. This is like...
It's not for sale.
Not for
it's
sale.
Not from the
we
farm.
can have an ounce per person, and that's it. And we are credentialed with pictures for us to be the only people that can touch this jar, no one else.
And speaking with those officials, they were saying it's an issue with track and trace. Yet, if you're here, your product is within metric.
Right, but
the samples aren't.
The samples aren't because they are our personal, which is representing what is for sale.
Or representing what you do. Like what we farm, this is our work, this is what we do, this is what it smells like, this is what it looks like, and now they're saying you just have to pull it off the table and just put up something that says, "Hi, I'm selling GG4. You should buy it because no reason."
Yeah, because this packaging looks really nice, and that's what consumerism is.
Is this just another example of how the state has just put another barrier for legacy farmers?
Well, and the irony too about this is a small farmer initiative. We are all family farms. We are tiny. She runs her farm. I run my farm. We don't have a crew of 20 people behind us. It's literally small farms. You go 20 feet in that direction and there are these massive farms that have tons of weed everywhere, and they're not telling them anything. Or if they did, they're not moving very quickly. They came to us first. They came to pinch the small farmers before they went anywhere else. And when we had a group of small farmers that said, "No, we're not doing that. We are not going to remove our samples. We have to have this in order to make our products sell, in order to make money," they had this huge powwow and decided we all have to become employees of the retailers in order to continue to show our personal use, which has nothing to do with the retail anyway. It's round and round and round of like head on the wall.
More bureaucracy. Like, they have put up every impediment for a small farm to succeed, yet corporations and big business. And the article, I just read an article online that said corporations on the East Coast are waiting for small farms to fail to buy us out at drastically cheap prices. And that's what if you're not going to support the small farm, that's what you're asking for.
Yep, and it's already happening in California too. I mean,
they're waiting.
When you look at the Small Farmer Initiative, the Emerald Cup used to all be small farmer. That's all that came. It was literally hundreds of small farms. We now have 26 in this little group, and another 4 represented over there, and another maybe 4 over there. It is different, and this is the death of craft cannabis if consumers don't get behind it and start demanding something different, and if people don't start getting really loud about ridiculous regulations that don't do anybody any favors.
Hi. So these are the items that they said was illegal. This is a locked sniffer jar that you need an Allen wrench to open. And all it does is when you press this, it wafts the smell up to you and has a magnifying glass. This is the personal jar that you cannot touch. You may look at it and you may smell it, and that is it. And that is the extent of you not touching anything. But they were saying this is illegal.
Oh, that is just the weirdest thing. I mean, what do they think we're gonna do? They think we're gonna like sell it out in eighths out of our jars so we have nothing left to smell. They think we're gonna like pass weed over the table to people in the middle of a totally regulated marketplace. We're gonna risk our license over like a 3-ounce sale or an 8-ounce sale. They think that that's what we're gonna do. It's pretty ridiculous. We have a lot riding on this. Every farmer that's here has so much riding on this. We, in no way, shape, or form, would put where we are right now, this place, and this time, at risk to sell an ounce of weed to somebody over a table when we have a booth over there with our weed for sale. I asked if I could have a runner go to their kiosk and get my customers their weed so they don't have to stand in that long line, you know? And they were like, no. And I'm like, what do you think I'm gonna do? Like, I'm gonna take their jar and, you know? I got another jar of my own weed, you know? What kind of criminals do they think that we are? We're literally following all of their rules. I'm down on the ground like a crazy person applying plastic tags to my plants that I'm gonna have to throw away in like 8 months. It's the dumbest thing ever. And they think, no, you can't have your weed out on the table because you're naughty. You're gonna steal it. It's my weed. It's my weed. If I wanted to sell some units, I could sell some goddamn units. I'm not trying to do that. I'm here trying to play by your rules. I'm trying to be good. I've been good all this time. You know, I've been a Prop 215 farmer since 2009. I was organized as a collective. I had my little sign up to the sky. You know, my little cross, my little 6 plants per person. I had people I gave weed to, an HIV patient, a cancer patients, you know, donated weed to dispensaries that had wellness centers. I go to wellness centers. My husband goes and teaches people how to process their own medicine at home so that they don't have to try to pay these crazy prices. We went to Magnolia Wellness. We were teaching people how to make little rosin presses with a little hair iron, you know? So little old lady who is suffering with breast cancer or has a hard time, she's just growing her little single autoflower plant so she could have a more concentrated medicine because you took it out of her ability to do it at all. You know, I was growing for those people. Now I can't. It's ridiculous what they've done. They've taken it out of the patients completely, and now it's just this weird way to get more drunk. I don't know. It's very weird.
Hi, my name is Teresa. I'm here with Redwood Roots Distribution. We're a distribution company based out of Southern Humboldt in Benbow. We represent heritage legacy farms from the Emerald Triangle. And we're here with a couple of our brands today, and we were just visited by the DCC, who we were displaying products, some of our own personal products here at the booth that we had purchased out of retail this morning. And with the regulations that they have in place, the DCC came around and informed us that only employees of the retailer that's doing the sales here at the event can have their products displayed. We had all submitted our names and information to the DCC saying that for the weekend we are employees of this retailer as well. And so now they have informed us that we need to kind of go through one additional step. Despite having submitted everything that we needed to, we need to get together some additional documents. So we're working to get that into place so we can continue to interface with the consumers, show them our products. Otherwise, all they want us to be able to show is empty jars. And it's kind of hard to show somebody how great some weed is out of an empty jar.
Do you think this is a great example of people, farmers, speaking up, advocates speaking up towards the state to actually make immediate change? Like we just saw them finding a different loophole. It even said, they were saying that it was impossible. But enough people spoke up, and now it is possible.
Yeah, exactly. It was pretty quick. You know, they started going around telling some of the farms that they needed to pull their products from the table. And the people who were involved in putting this all together kind of came together and worked to speak out about how this doesn't work. You know, you don't go to any other kind of a trade show and show an empty bottle of wine. You know, you're pouring a glass of wine for people to be able to taste. So, you know, yeah, enough people came together and said, hey, how can we work with you in order to make this work for us as well? And I mean, long term, that's the hope, you know, showing them that these regulations and these rules they're putting into place, it's actually killing the foundation that this industry was built upon. It's squeezing people out. So yeah, hopefully enough people coming together, raising their voice can help to like enact this change that we actually need.
Chris, you've been documenting what's going on in our community, and tonight with the DCC, what's your take?
Well, I mean, yeah, I've been in this community documenting everything that I've been seeing for the last 4 years, and it's just like, it's so blatant to me that they start at the Small Farmer Initiative pavilion. Why didn't they go to the Cookies Pavilion? Why didn't they go to the big dogs? Why do they come in there and mess with people? It just seems so obvious to me that there's this like vendetta, and they want to just make it really difficult for the people that have lived in this community for decades versus the bigger businesses. Now, it begs the question, are those big businesses putting money in the pockets of the regulators and, you know, doing them a favor? I don't know. It's conjecture, but it's really like, it's the continuation of the film. It's like the discrimination just doesn't stop. So, yeah, I wish we were different.
Not just the work. So you can see this is our booth. You know, it's us. It represents who we are, what we do. This is the herb that we grow. We have the jars. People can look at them. They can smell them. They can't touch them. They can't smoke them. They can't buy them. They have to, in order to buy them, they scan the QR code here, and it takes them to the menu, and then they go over to the point of sale, and the cash register rings them up, and they get the product. So we don't have the final product. These are just sample jars. They're not for sharing.
This is our personal use product that we're letting people smell because it's ours, and we're allowed to do that.
Yeah, and we have what we think is a very beautiful, elegant, simple display. And it's like, it's pretty hard to see how there's something wrong with this from a regulatory standpoint. Yeah. There you go. 2020 Mendocino. All right. My name is Casey O'Neill from Happy Day Farms. We're here at the Emerald Cup, Small Farmer Initiative. We got a Farm Cup booth. It's been a really glorious day, like a really special experience to be able to be here, to still see small farms standing, still trying to make it work through regulatory consolidation, and all of a sudden, instead of Department of Food and Agriculture where farmers live, we have Department of Cannabis Control. So we're operating compliantly. We have point of sale through Sovereign. We're not doing any transactions whatsoever over the table, but we have sample jars on the table that people can look at to see what it is we're offering. This evening, compliance officer comes through and says, well, I'm here. The Department of Cannabis Control is about to come through, and they're going to shut down anybody that has cannabis on the table. So you can have empty jars, you can have empty packaging on the table, but no cannabis. And I don't know, Kmart was there, I started ugly crying. You know, it's just like you work so hard at something for so long, and you feel like it just gets harder and harder for no particular reason. Like as a vegetable farmer, I pay a nominal fee. I tell the county what crops I grow, and I can sell them at market. And cannabis is this never-ending series of regulatory shifts and drama, and it's like we just, you know, for me, it's like one of my life beliefs is to see normalization. This is a plant. This is an herbal medicine. This is part of the traditional human pharmacopoeia, and to see it regulated under the Department of Cannabis Control is wrong. It shouldn't be about control. It should be about agriculture, because that's what we do as farmers. And so the reality that farmers are stripped from being able to do direct market sales is a travesty. It's a fundamentally broken aspect of the regulatory system, and it needs to be addressed.
Yeah, I mean, to talk about what happened, we got to go back a ways because it's been happening the whole time. Basically, you have the DCC, the Department of Cannabis Control, and their job is to control cannabis, and they interpret that pretty interestingly. The rules for this is we can exhibit here, but we can only have an ounce of our personal cannabis on the table to show people what it is, and then the actual sales have to go through a distributor and a point of sale. And anyway, it's kind of a big bureaucratic mess. But then what kind of unfolded tonight is that they decided that we couldn't actually show people coming through our own personal ounce of cannabis of the strains that we're selling at a point of sale. Because we're small farms, we don't have retail licenses. And they decided to start saying that only retail licenses could show cannabis that was intended to be promoting a sale. Even though it's our personal cannabis, it is promoting a sale of a retail outlet that is here. So we had to, at first we were told everything had to be put away. Here we are at the Emerald Cup, weeks of preparation, getting here so we can actually get back to being in direct contact with customers, communicating as a small farm who has multiple steps in between of businesses trying to take a cut and not being able to communicate with our customers. All of a sudden they come in and say, oh, now you're here at this event, you spent all month trying to get here organizing, and you can't do that.
And to be clear, Graceland Forest Farms, Whitethorn Valley Farms, next door to Redwood Roots, Huckleberry Hill Farms, all these
Happy Day Farm,
all these kind of model small legacy farms. You are here with jars of your product, not even able to do a direct point of sale. You just have your cannabis in the jars showing people this is what we do, this is what it looks like. If you want to buy it, you actually have to go across this room to purchase it.
And get in a line and purchase it. So we are basically just showing what is available at a point of sale for a distribution. Now, what the Emerald Cup did that was great is they made that point of sale, they didn't charge us any fees besides admin fees. So we're actually, normally when we go to sell a product, we get less than half of what the consumer pays for the product, because by the time you add up taxes and fees and the dispensaries cut and the distributors cut and all of that, there's not much left for the farmer who created the product. But in this case, they were giving us a good deal where they were, there's still taxes. It's still almost half of it goes in taxes to the state. But we were getting most of what was available from consumers. So we have a booth, we're showing our product, we're talking about our product, we're connecting as farmers with consumers, and then they go to a different point of sale to where there's a menu of all the products from this whole side of this whole venue, and go out and choose the ones that they want and buy it there. After the fact, we get paid for it, next week or something, when it's all processed. So that went great. We have jars of our own personal use, jars of the same products that are being sold, so customers can smell it, look at it.
And when you say personal use, you had to buy it from your own farm to be legal. And you're again, it's not direct point of sale. You just have a jar on your table saying, hey, this is our
it's
product.
Either bought from our own farms through that point of sale, or it's our own ounce of our adult recreational personal use that we grew ourselves as our personal plants that isn't in the metric system.
And in this, it's a harvest ball. It's a harvest.
It's a celebration.
It's a celebration. Yet this is the Small Farmers Initiative has really been like organizing legacy farmers to hold on against the state regulations, corporate competitors. Meanwhile, we have the state coming in and instantly, instead of going to the cookies dome, coming directly to the small farmers.
So what the state's doing is it's solving problems that don't exist and not solving the problems that do exist. I mean, I think it comes to that thing where it's like, if your job is to control cannabis, you have to come up with something to control, and I guess people can't touch it. People can't look at it. I don't understand where it's coming from, but it's stupid. There's no two ways about it, right?
And, Michael Katz, who really was an instrumental part to get the Small Farmer Initiative here at the Emerald Cup, was working with the DCC saying, oh my goodness, what is going on? But is there some level of frustration that there's just not clear regulations, and the regulations seem to change and behoove the corporate cannabis? 2
days before this event started, we got an email that said anybody who's going to be in the booth who could possibly touch cannabis needs to have a badge with their photo and their name and paperwork to be able to be in a booth and touch cannabis. So we're like, okay, we're all getting ready, getting in our cars, trying to get to the cup, and that comes through, so we have to scramble, make all that happen. Then we get here and find out this other rule, and now, because of the pressure all of us put on them here at the event while this is happening, they're like, well, I guess if you're all employees of the retail, maybe you could be using demos to show. So the laws don't leave much room for interpretation.
And we've touched on this a little bit, but what's the big picture to what unfolded as a whole today?
More of the same shit show.
You have this situation where I can't talk to my customers and then hand them a product. And that's wrong. That's wrong. They should be able to buy it directly from me. They always were before. I always paid my taxes. It's very easy for them to come in, see how much we grew, and see how much we said we sold. Why can't we do it that way? This makes no sense. It's ridiculous.
People have to speak up. Or it's going to be like the Budweiser and the Coors, of weed. And it's like, what's this supposed to be all about with small farms?
Yeah, and we have to stop. I don't know. I'm a kind of a fan of civil protest, so I'm like, if farmers got together and actually all stood firm together and said, we're not doing these things that are ridiculous, and it's not like, we refuse to pay our taxes, but rather we refuse to pay onerous taxes that create barriers to continuation of business. We refuse to weigh every leaf 3 days after it falls off the plant.
Right.
We refuse to do the wet weight of a plant, which is ridiculous and onerous. We refuse to cut every plant out at the stalk so you can weigh it and then declare half of it as waste and put it in a compost pile, mix 50-50. It's ridiculous. And if small farms don't start all just saying no, we're not doing this anymore, and saying it, not just hiding and doing it anyway, that's what has to happen. And the more we do that, the more chance there is of something actually changing in time to save small farms.
And anything else you want folks that are seeing this to know?
Oh my gosh, please go to your dispensary and support small farms and ask them if they don't have any, why they're not carrying it. We need help on the consumer level. We need people to understand that if you want the quality cannabis that California is known for, you've got to support the farmers that have been doing it. It has to happen on all levels.
A lot of the time it comes down to with regulatory development that the people who write the rules and the people who enforce the rules don't know anything about how it operates on the ground. And as somebody who spent a lot of time trying to inform legislators and regulators about how things operate on the ground, it's hard. And I think, for instance, Origins Council has done a phenomenal job advocating for us, and that's something I really appreciate, because as somebody who's done a lot of advocacy, I'm tired. It's been a long year, and so I'm glad that there's people out there fighting for us, and I still have hope for the future, and I feel I feel duty bound to represent what we do and how we do it, both because it's something I believe in, and also because there's so many people who can't be here, and so we're going to keep going.
Any other final remarks?
Yeah, much love.